So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to what's going to be another movie review. What movie review? Well, In a Violent Nature offers a fresh twist on the slasher genre by presenting the story from the killer's perspective this time, setting it apart from classic Killer in the Woods movies like Friday the 13th. But this unique narrative choice is both a strength and a weakness. So let's take a deep dive into my perspective of In a Violent Nature, and I'll let you know if I needed this vomit bag that I stole off the plane recently. What are we waiting for? Let's go. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the JeffMan316 Pop Culture Reporter channel. I'm your host, as always, JeffMan316. Yeah, that's me on the sign there. JeffMan316 Live is where we watch along to a movie, usually Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. Also, please consider supporting me on Instagram at JeffMan316, where we can also chat about anything else you want there. So let's talk about In a Violent Nature. I saw this movie this past weekend, and I wanted to go ahead and give you my thoughts after letting it settle on my brain for a few days. And I'll let you know if I would recommend that you watch this film. So the film is obviously going to be compared to all the Friday the 13th movies, or maybe even The Burning, because of the setting and the serial killer run wild in the woods aspect. But unlike Friday the 13th, where most of the narrative unfolds through the eyes of unsuspecting victims, In a Violent Nature shifts the focus to the killer's viewpoint or perspective, not his point of view. This is not a POV film. A lot of reviewers are incorrectly stating that. You never see anything through the eyes of the killer, like in Halloween or the first Friday the 13th. Everything is seen as a witness to the crime, so to speak. So the change in perspective does allow for a more intimate and unsettling experience, as viewers are privy to the killer's actions firsthand. So think like Friday the 13th, the video game, where you're following right behind the killer as he walks right up to his victims each time. You see their startling reaction to his horrific actions unfold right in front of you. So the movie has an aspect ratio of 4:3, which was the traditional style of slasher movies during like the VHS era that I love. And this does add a little bit to the atmosphere of the isolation, so to speak. I wish they had made the film look a little more grindhouse, though, with some scratches and stuff on the screen. It looks fantastic, and this is probably going to make a great 4K disc with the outdoor setting, but I wished it was, like I said, more grindhouse vintage feel. This unique perspective can also be thought of as a negative, though. Traditional slasher movies like Friday the 13th focus primarily on building suspense and tension, as you never know when or where the killer might pop up. Jump scares are often used to add to the shock value. However, this unique perspective of the killer, his name is Johnny, distracts from the pure terror typically associated in slasher films, as it introduces an element of predictability and is at a much slower pace. Films like Friday the 13th thrive on unexpected moments and the fear of the unknown, keeping audiences on the edge of their seat. In contrast here, though, the foreknowledge of the killer's intentions and the fact that we are constantly following Johnny as he walks through the woods, it reduces that element of surprise and shock. Some of the main tropes, though, of the genre are still present. We have somewhat a high body count, I guess you could say. We do get a group of unsuspecting victims in the woods, and even get an origin story that's told around a campfire like in Friday the 13th. Some of the details, though, of the killer's backstory are presented throughout the film, like during conversations that characters are having together as the killer watches them through the woods. While I thought this was a cool concept, we do find out a little more about Johnny than I thought we would. In a Violent Nature maintains the visceral horror and graphic violence, though, that we come to expect in this genre. The strongest aspect of the film could probably be the inventive kills, and I was pleasantly surprised that the filmmakers did not even pull punches at all with some of their brutal kills. You probably have already heard about the infamous yoga kill. It was brutal, but I have seen a lot worse. and I didn't need a vomit bag then or now. I'll say there were some unique kills. They had a lot of imagination to them. I wish that wood splitter scene, though, that kill there, I wish they had done it a little differently. I think like maybe if they had added a little Terrifier style to it, down the middle, so to speak. Once you see the film, you'll understand what I mean about how that added flair to the kill would have improved the movie a little bit. So In a Violent Nature also stands out by humanizing the killer a little bit, presenting Johnny as a character rather than just a force of evil. During the killer's walkabouts, and I do mean walkabouts.
Would you mind getting a move on? I'm on my lunch break.
We'll talk about more of that later. You gather pieces of his backstory as he hunts down a prized possession that used to belong to his mother. There's also one scene in particular where you witness this big hulk of a man-child seemingly reminiscing about an aspect of his childhood. Or was that just muscle memory? Or did he actually display some feelings there? You'll have to decide that for yourself. But I like this aspect of Johnny and thought it added some depth to the character, which is usually absent from movies like this. While Johnny did have a moment or two of reflection, most of the movie saw him as a brutal beast-like monster, though, killing everything in his path. His character seems to be, if you want to think about it, like a hybrid of Jason Voorhees from Part 6, like the undead aspect, mixed with Victor Crowley from Hatchet, as far as him being, let's say, slow and picked on as a child. And all right, when I say slow, you know what I mean. There's this really cringe-inducing scene in the movie where they decided they wanted to try to describe Johnny, and they wanted to use a common word that people always used to use, but they didn't want to be quote-unquote canceled. You get my point.
You can't say retarded anymore. It was just here, don't you remember? Retarded. It's gone.
Hey, he said it, I didn't. Watch it, buddy. Don't get me canceled. All right, so as far as the character, you also need to add in some of the brutality from Rob Zombie's version of Michael Myers from Halloween 2. They borrow a lot from these characters to create Johnny, so he's really not unique if you consider all those different aspects that I just mentioned. He's got a lot of major influence from other horror icons. It is a good thing, though, that I enjoyed the character of Johnny. Why do I say that? Because the rest of the characters and or victims, cast members, they were hot garbage. They had some very juvenile dialogue, and none of them did I even give two shits about at the end of the movie. So the film setting is almost like a character in itself as well. The wilderness gives a very isolated feel. You can hear the sounds of animals, trees moving in the wind, leaves and branches cracking under Johnny's feet. That becomes almost like the film soundtrack in a lot of scenes. There's very little score, which provided a very strange theater experience for me. Everyone seemed to be a little bit on edge because they did not want to make any sounds that would distract from the movie. Let's talk about the cinematography. It's amazing, and it effectively captures the beauty of nature while also providing a familiar backdrop to heighten that tension as it plays on, let's say, our primal fears of being hunted by somebody in the woods. A lot of this film takes place during the day. So that reminded me kind of like Midsommar, where horror like this could happen in broad daylight just because of the isolated setting. So, all right, so let's go ahead and talk about the obvious. Have you seen Johnny's mask in the trailer? I think they described it as an old fireman's mask. I talked about this with one of you guys, one of my regular viewers, and we both thought it looked like, wait for it, a minion's head when it was right in front of you on the camera. So don't think about it. You can't get it out of your head. If you do, that image will stay in there. See? Well, it grew on me from behind.
That's what... If you say that's what she said one more time, I'm going to pop you.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. Poor choice of words. Seeing the mask from behind made it a little bit better. So now let's talk about the pacing of the movie. Once Johnny starts pulling himself up out of his grave, it probably takes 5 or 10 minutes for him to get out and walk around. They show this... him coming out of the ground from multiple angles, so it starts way too slow for my taste. The movie does have some classic horror moments, though, as we go along, but a lot of it does remain slow, and he's very methodically walking, and we're following behind Johnny on his walkabouts as he goes to each kill, and he walks a lot.
It's a long, hard walk, but I will walk hard.
I don't know about walking hard, but he walks a lot. So he goes and kills somebody, and then he walks. And then he kills somebody. And then he walks. And then he kills somebody, and then he walks. You get the idea. They could have trimmed out probably 10 to 15 minutes of him just fucking walking, and I bet it would tighten up the run time a lot. Or would that have been walk time? Either way. So I guess it'd be a good idea for you to grab some snacks and a drink so you can enjoy it during the boring part. So in the end, In a Violent Nature offers a novel approach to the slasher genre. It centers the narrative on the killer and his perspective while being a man on a mission. While this approach added a unique layer to the tried and true premise of a slasher movie, it did reduce the unpredictability and the terror that often defines a classic slasher movie like this. If you're looking for traditional horror or a traditional horror experience, you may find that this shift will be a little refreshing, or it could be disappointing. But it is not the best thing since sliced bread, which a lot of people are making it seem like. They're exaggerating a lot. I know a lot of people either love this or hate this. So I'm glad we were presented with a true hardcore horror film, though, finally in theaters. I'm tired of that PG-13 shit. So before we go, I want to throw a little movie trivia out there. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but there's a scene at the end, and I'm going to tell you about the end a little bit as well. But like I said, I won't spoil it. There's an actress in it that ends up picking somebody up in the truck and does this big, long monologue. And I looked up on Internet Movie Database who was in this movie, and I couldn't believe it. It was Lauren Marie Taylor. Do you know who she is? She played Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2. So I thought that was really cool. They had a little connection there to an original Friday the 13th film. But the only thing, I won't spoil it, the only thing I will say about the ending is I thought the ending was basically hot garbage. But I just didn't like the ending at all. It was a buzzkill with everything we just went through, all the violence and everything. For the last 10 minutes to just fall off a fucking cliff like it did, I think they did a disservice to the movie ending it the way they did. So I won't spoil it, but let me know if you do see it, if you feel the same way. So I also wanted to let you know, don't waste your time watching through the credits. There was no end credit scene in this one. So once the movie is over, you can go ahead and do a walkabout and head on back home. I give this film, what kind of rating am I going to give it? I'm going to go and give it a soft thumbs up. I think you should eventually watch this film, but you may want to wait and watch it at home. You know, get in a dark room, get the room real quiet, and watch it. I'm sure it's going to be on Shudder really soon since they produced it. You'll probably not lose much from that theater experience that I had by watching it at home. It might even let you take some bathroom breaks or even fast forward through some of Johnny's walkabouts. So have you seen In a Violent Nature? If you did, put it in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, do you plan on watching it? Put that in the comments down below. Yeah, I really want you guys to support the channel. Any movement, any activity on the video will help it. While you're down there, like I said, don't give me a soft thumbs up. Smash that like button. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the normal YouTube stuff. I really do appreciate you guys a lot. And then if you are a subscriber, make sure you hit the notification bell. You'll know when I post new videos. And like I said, I think I want to give us another watch when it comes home. The being able to maybe fast forward through a little bit of his walking around might make it an easier watch. But I'd like to know your perspective, like I said, if you've seen it or not. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. Hopefully you'll watch more videos on my channel. Hopefully you'll keep supporting me. I hit 3,000 subscribers. Watch out. I'm going to do a giveaway really soon. Also, like I said, don't forget to follow me on social media. Instagram, JeffMan316. I love you guys. And until next time, boys and girls, this has been JeffMan316. I'm your pop culture reporter, and I'm signing out saying you guys be safe out there.
It's a long, hard walk, but I will walk hard.